Chapter 1: The Capture. Leo Vale had been called many things in his 30 years of living. Business tycoon, ruthless CEO, the golden alpha of Vale Industries, but never stupid. That was before tonight. Because only a stupid alpha would think he could assassinate the most dangerous vampire alive and just stroll away. The ballroom of the Draven Tower glittered with wealth that could fund a small country. Gold-plated chandeliers hung like frozen suns, champagne flowed like rivers, and the elite of the nation's underworld danced in shimmering gowns and sharp tuxedos. None of them had the faintest idea that their gracious host, the tall, inhumanly beautiful man at the top of the grand staircase, wasn't just another billionaire, but the Enigma Vampire King, Aurelius Draven himself. And Leo Vale, the billionaire hunter hiding in plain sight, had one mission tonight: put a silver-tipped bullet straight through that monster's heart. The plan was simple: distract with charm, flirt with danger, pull the trigger, walk away rich and righteous. It was going well, until it wasn't. Leo fired. Fast, precise, deadly. The bullet should have hit. It should have ended everything. Instead, Aurelius caught it mid-air with a lazy elegance that made Leo's blood run cold. "Oh, darling," Aurelius's voice was silk-laced with knives, echoing across the ballroom now frozen in shocked silence. His glowing crimson eyes locked on Leo, not with anger, but with something far worse: recognition. The next few moments blurred. Guests screamed. Bodyguards lunged. Leo fought like the alpha he was born to be: efficient, brutal, a machine honed to kill vampires. His silver blades carved through lesser bloodsuckers like butter, his enhanced senses dancing with adrenaline. But he never made it out the door, because Aurelius moved like dark lightning, faster than any prey Leo had hunted before. One moment Leo was slashing at guards, the next his wrists were shackled in obsidian cuffs, his feet dangling inches off the marble floor as the Vampire King effortlessly held him by the collar of his blood-stained tuxedo. "Assassination attempt," Leo spat with dry sarcasm, despite his pulse hammering like war drums. "I take it your hospitality ratings are about to tank." Aurelius tilted his head, sharp fangs flashing briefly as a cruel, amused smile tugged at his lips. "Bold little alpha," he murmured, lowering Leo until they were eye to glowing eye. "You've been trying to kill me for years. I always wondered when you'd finally show up to do it yourself." Leo sneered. "Sorry to disappoint you. Next time I'll try harder." "Oh no." Aurelius's voice dropped, velvet dark and intimate. "You've already done enough, my love." Leo froze. "My love?" Aurelius's gaze softened, not weakly, but with a dangerous tenderness that made Leo's chest tighten in confusion and dread. The vampire's cold fingers brushed Leo's jaw, startlingly gentle for a creature that had just slaughtered 3 men without blinking. "I knew I'd find you again," Aurelius whispered, as if they were alone in the glittering chaos of the ruined ballroom. "Same fire in your eyes. The same soul I lost centuries ago. This time..." His hand tightened on Leo's cuffed wrists, possessive and unyielding. "I won't let you go, even if I have to chain you to eternity." Leo barked a humorless laugh, masking the unease twisting in his gut. "Romantic, truly. If I weren't literally in chains, I might swoon." Aurelius chuckled low, like the sound of shadows purring. "Ah, there's that sharp tongue. I missed it." "Yeah?" Leo shot back, his alpha instincts flaring hot, refusing to submit even with blood trickling down his temple. "Well, you'll miss it again when I rip your head off." The Vampire King smiled wider, baring perfect predatory fangs. "Fiery. I like that." Dragged through hidden corridors, Leo noted everything: the intricate sigils carved into the obsidian walls to nullify his alpha strength, the silent, silver-eyed servants who bowed to their king but stared at Leo with a mix of fear and reverence. This wasn't just a mansion, it was a gilded fortress. Inside Aurelius's private penthouse, half Gothic cathedral, half modern palace, Leo was thrown onto a velvet chaise long enough to fit 3 men. Before he could spring up, Aurelius's supernatural presence pressed down, freezing him in place like gravity had doubled. Leo snarled. "What, no dungeon? No torture rack? Some king you are. Why would I hurt what's mine? Aurelius replied smoothly, pouring himself a glass of dark, viscous wine that Leo was sure wasn't from grapes. I've waited lifetimes for you, my alpha hunter. You think I'd let you die this time? Leo spat on the floor, chains clinking. You're insane. Perhaps. Aurelius knelt before him, predator's grace and eternal beauty almost blinding this close. He tucked a strand of Leo's disheveled hair behind his ear, voice dropping to a soft, dangerous purr. But tell me, if I'm insane, why does your soul still remember me? Leo's retort died on his tongue as a strange, buried heat flickered in his chest, something ancient, something not his own, before he crushed it with a snarl. Whatever you think you know, he hissed, I'm nothing like whoever I was before. I'm a hunter, and I'll die before I let a bloodsucker claim me. Aurelius leaned in close, lips brushing Leo's ear in a whisper that made every alpha instinct scream. Then it's a good thing, he murmured, that eternity is long enough to make you remember, and mine. And for the first time in his life, Leo Vale, the unshakable alpha hunter, felt a chill that no silver blade could cut through. Chapter 2. Blood Moon. Bonding. Blood smelled different on a blood moon night. Leo Vale figured this out while chained to an obsidian throne in Aurelius Draven's private penthouse, glaring murderously at the Vampire King as the city skyline bled crimson under the rare eclipse. The skyscrapers outside were drenched in eerie red light, as if the whole country had been dipped in wine and blood. Leo had escaped 3 times since his capture. 3 times he'd been dragged back like an unruly pet, kicking and biting and swearing loud enough to make even the ancient vampires blush. But tonight was different. Tonight, Aurelius wasn't stopping him from escaping. No, tonight the bastard had dressed him. A black silk shirt that clung to Leo's broad shoulders. Leather cuffs lined in silver, not enough to burn, just enough to keep him annoyed. His hair swept back to reveal his alpha-marked neck, where the mark will be showing because, according to Aurelius's smug explanation, my mate deserves to look regal for eternity. Leo wanted to vomit, or kill him, preferably both. What's this, Draven? Leo snapped, rattling his cuffs. Some kinky vampire wedding? Should I expect a buffet of your fang buddies to witness this circus? Aurelius didn't turn around immediately. He stood by the panoramic window, moonlight painting his tailored suit silver, crimson eyes glowing like molten rubies. When he finally spoke, his voice was velvet over steel. No circus, Leo. This is destiny. Leo barked a laugh, dripping with sarcasm. Destiny? Right. Because clearly, it was destiny for me to get kidnapped by a bloodsucker lunatic who thinks eternal mate sounds romantic instead of horrifying. Aurelius turned then, slow and deliberate. For a moment there was no cruel smirk, no mocking confidence. Only an ancient, aching sadness that made the air heavy. I thought the same thing, once, Aurelius said quietly. Leo froze. The vampire's tone was wrong. Too raw, too real. Aurelius stepped closer, kneeling before him. The obsidian cuffs keeping Leo in place glimmered with red moonlight. 500 years ago, Aurelius began, voice carrying the weight of centuries. You were mine. Not this name, not this face, but you. Mark was your name then. Fierce, bold, always with that sharp-tongued, infuriating sarcasm. A faint, pained smile touched his lips. You made me fall in love the moment you tried to stab me. Leo blinked, taken aback but refusing to show it. Sounds familiar. Aurelius chuckled darkly. We were mates, destined. Even the moon recognized it. But hunters came for you, and I wasn't fast enough to save you. I held you as your blood turned cold in my arms. You promised me you'd find me again. And then you were gone. For the first time since his capture, Leo's anger faltered. Something deep inside him twisted, like an echo of grief that didn't belong to him but still burned. Aurelius's hand hovered near Leo's cheek, trembling slightly. I waited centuries. Never touched another. Never stopped hearing your voice in my dreams. And when I saw you on that balcony, aiming at my heart, his crimson eyes softened, almost breaking. I knew you'd kept your promise. Leo swallowed hard, fighting the strange heat crawling up his chest. "And this little ritual you've planned?" he asked, masking unease with biting sarcasm. "You think forcing me to be your blood-bound puppet is a love reunion?" The Vampire King's smile returned, not cruel, but devastatingly certain. "No," Aurelius murmured, leaning closer until Leo felt the cool whisper of his breath. "It's me making sure I never lose you again." The ritual chamber beneath Draven Tower was carved from ancient stone, glowing sigils pulsing red along the walls. A massive skylight overhead revealed the blood moon in its full eclipse, casting Aurelius and Leo in crimson light. Leo, shackled to a black marble altar, glared up at the celestial event like it had personally betrayed him. "This is absurd. You know that, right? Some cosmic blood bonding crap won't make me suddenly swoon into your cold, undead arms." Aurelius, now in ceremonial black and crimson robes, merely smirked as he prepared a silver dagger, slicing his own palm with practiced ease. Thick, glowing red blood welled up, carrying a faint supernatural shimmer. "Do you think you didn't fight me in your last life?" Aurelius asked casually, his deep voice resonating like a hymn. "You were just as proud, just as wild. You tried to stake me every other day. And yet, every night, you still crawled into my bed." Leo's face flushed despite himself. "Delusional bloodsucker?" "Perhaps," Aurelius said, stepping close, towering over Leo with the poise of a king claiming his throne. "But you'll remember soon enough." The ritual began. Aurelius sliced Leo's wrist gently despite Leo's growled protests. Their blood mingled, glowing bright under the red eclipse. Ancient enigma chants filled the chamber, whispered by Aurelius alone. Then fangs. Leo gritted his teeth as Aurelius bit deep into his neck. Not viciously, but with reverence, like a lover marking what was always his. Heat spread through Leo's veins. Fire and ice tangled, his alpha instincts roaring in defiance, but unable to break free. Through the haze of pain and unwanted pleasure, he saw it. Memories not his own. A battlefield of fire and silver. Aurelius cradling a dying hunter named Mark, tears streaking down his usually cold face. A whispered promise. "I'll find you again, no matter how many lifetimes." Leo gasped, trying to shake it off, but the bond was already sealing, runes on the altar glowing brighter. Immortality flooded his body, instincts sharpening to a predatory edge. And beneath it all, a tether, unbreakable, pulling him toward Aurelius's ancient, relentless soul. When it was over, Leo collapsed against the altar, trembling but glaring up at the vampire. "Congratulations," he panted. "You've officially ruined my life." Aurelius leaned down, brushing a blood-stained thumb over Leo's lip with a dark, knowing smile. "No," he whispered softly, almost tenderly. "I've given it back to you." Leo huffed a laugh, voice dripping sarcasm despite the tears he didn't notice had escaped. "Guess forever's gonna be a nightmare, huh?" Aurelius kissed his temple gently, a vow wrapped in obsession. "Only for you, my Leo, my eternity." And somewhere deep inside, the Alpha Hunter knew escape had just become impossible. Chapter 3. Power Struggle. Seduction. Leo Vale prided himself on two things. 1. Being a damn good alpha vampire hunter. 2. Never losing to a vampire. Yet here he was, immortal now, thanks to the blood bond, chained by an invisible tether to the most dangerous vampire in existence, and still somehow showing up to work every morning like nothing had happened. The press loved it. 2 billionaires joined forces, the headline screamed. Vampire King Aurelius Draven proposes corporate merger to rival tech giant Vale Industries. To the outside world, it was a brilliant power move. To Leo, it was a hostage situation disguised as a business deal. Morning mayhem. "Get your undead hands off my tie," Leo growled, swatting at Aurelius as they stood in front of a floor-to-ceiling mirror in Leo's penthouse office. Aurelius, looking effortlessly sinful in a black-tailored suit, only smirked and adjusted the alpha's tie with slow, deliberate precision. "Darling, if I don't dress you, who will? Certainly not your assistant who still faints when she sees me." Leo glared at him in the mirror, Because you hypnotized her, you leech. She smiled first, Aurelius said innocently. It would have been rude not to smile back. Smiled? She's in therapy now because you purred at her. Aurelius's crimson eyes glimmered with wicked delight. Ah, yes. She did say something about me being devastatingly charming. Devastatingly insane, Leo muttered, grabbing his briefcase. Before he could storm out, Aurelius swooped in, pinning him lightly against the desk with that damn supernatural grace, fangs glinting as he leaned close. You're cute when you're jealous. Leo sputtered. I am not jealous. I'm planning your second assassination attempt. Aurelius chuckled low, the sound brushing along Leo's bond-tethered soul like a warm, maddening caress. You say that, yet every night you claw your way into my arms, growling like a possessive alpha who can't stand to let me out of sight. Leo's face burned. That's not me. That's the stupid bond. Of course it is, Aurelius teased, pressing a soft, infuriating kiss to Leo's jaw before stepping back. Now, let's go announce to the world that we're merging our empires. Leo groaned. If anyone asks, I was drugged. Corporate chaos. The press conference was a nightmare. Flashbulbs popped. Reporters buzzed. And there stood Aurelius, calm, charming, the epitome of billionaire elegance, while Leo clenched his jaw beside him, every muscle screaming to run. Mr. Draven, a reporter asked, why merge with Veil Industries now? Aurelius's lips curved in that infuriating, predatory smile. Because, he said smoothly, resting a possessive hand on Leo's shoulder, it's only natural to build a future with one's partner. The room erupted in scandalous gasps and frantic typing. Leo's eyes bulged. He leaned toward Aurelius, whispering harshly, Partner? Have you lost your damned ancient mind? Technically, Aurelius whispered back, lips brushing Leo's ear just enough to make him shiver. You're my eternal mate. I'm just softening the news for your fragile human reputation. Fragile? Leo hissed, fists clenched. I could break your neck. Aurelius hummed, voice dripping sin. Do it later in bed. I'd love that. Leo nearly slammed his briefcase into the vampire's smug face. Behind closed doors. Later, back in Leo's office, furniture lay in shambles. The conference table cracked in half, shattered glass glittered across the carpet, and Leo stood panting, alpha pheromones thick in the air as he glared at Aurelius. This, Leo snapped, pointing at the wreckage, is exactly why we can't be in the same room. Aurelius lounged casually on the destroyed table, tie loosened, looking like Sin in a suit. Correction, this is why we must be in the same room. You're insane. And you're mine. Aurelius's tone softened dangerously, his crimson eyes glowing as he stood, slowly cornering Leo against the window overlooking the city. You think merging companies was about money? He pressed a hand to Leo's chest, feeling his racing heart. It's about keeping you where you belong, with me. Leo's breath caught, but his pride refused to break. I belong anywhere you aren't, Draven. Aurelius smirked darkly. Yet every night, every furious glare, every curse you throw at me, pulls you closer. Tell me, Leo, why haven't you really left? Leo opened his mouth to snap back, but faltered. The bond thrummed between them like wildfire, his alpha instinct screaming both to fight and to stay. Because I haven't figured out how to kill you yet, Leo muttered finally, sarcasm masking the war raging inside him. Aurelius chuckled, leaning down to brush his lips against Leo's ear. Good. I'll give you an eternity to try. My fierce, beautiful mate. Leo shoved him away with a growl, shoving his hair back, voice trembling in frustration. You're a lovesick fool. Aurelius only smiled, eyes glowing with obsession and devotion. Only for you, Leo. Only ever for you. Chapter 4. The Unforeseen Pregnancy. 3 months since Aurelius Draven, the world's richest vampire king and self-proclaimed eternal mate enthusiast, merged his billion-dollar empire with Leo Vale's company. 3 months since paparazzi had a field day, every time Aurelius so much as brushed his fingers against Leo's arm at press conferences. 3 months since Aurelius dropped to one knee during a charity gala, in front of hundreds of cameras, slid a blood-red diamond ring on Leo's finger and declared, "From the moment you tried to kill me, I knew you were the only one I'd marry. Let the world know, he is mine." Leo, in response, attempted to strangle him with the nearest champagne bottle. The wedding from hell. It was supposed to be a business partnership. That's what Leo told himself, but 3 months later he was standing in the middle of a cathedral-turned-luxury wedding palace, drowning in fresh roses, diamonds dripping from the chandeliers, and media outlets screaming headlines like, "World's richest vampire king marries alpha hunter. CEO love or madness." Leo, dressed in an obscenely expensive white suit, tailored by an Italian vampire designer, whispered to himself, "Madness, definitely madness." From the altar, Aurelius stood like a Gothic god in a black embroidered suit with a blood-red rose pinned to his chest. His crimson eyes glowed with unholy joy as the music swelled and cameras flashed. "You look ravishing," Aurelius murmured as Leo stomped toward him, chains of pearls glittering around his neck. "You look like my next victim," Leo hissed through his perfect smile for the cameras. "Say that again," Aurelius whispered back, leaning closer with a sinful grin, "and I'll take you on the altar instead of the honeymoon suite." Leo's glare could have melted steel. The vows were nothing short of humiliating. "Aurelius, I vow to worship you until the sun dies and beyond eternity." Leo, "I vow to not stab you during public events." When the priest declared, "You may kiss your mate," Aurelius didn't hesitate. He dipped Leo like they were in some blood-soaked fairy tale and kissed him like the cameras weren't there. Leo bit his lip hard enough to draw blood just to stop himself from kissing back. Mating nights. Weeks after the wedding, the mating heat hit like wildfire. Leo blamed the blood bond, the marriage, the suffocating pheromones Aurelius used like weapons. Whatever it was, it drove him insane. Their penthouse bedroom turned into a battlefield. Shattered headboards, claw marks on silk sheets, chandeliers swinging dangerously from the ceiling. Leo, panting and flushed, snarled, "If you call me my love one more time, I swear I'll—" Aurelius kissed him breathless and murmured against his lips, "You'll what, mate? Bite me harder? Mark me deeper? Gods, you're magnificent." Somewhere between their arguments and nights that shook the penthouse foundations, Aurelius wore the proudest smile Leo had ever seen. After 500 years, he finally had his mate, body, bond, and soul. 2 months later. The revelation. Leo wasn't feeling well. He sat in his office, staring at a report while chewing on a pen. Something felt off. His senses were sharper, his instincts heavier, and his alpha pheromones were fluctuating wildly. "Stress," he muttered. "That's all. Just stress from being eternally shackled to a lunatic." But stress didn't explain the nausea, or the weird cravings, or the way Aurelius kept hovering like a lovesick hawk, fussing over his meals. It wasn't until his vampire doctor cornered him in private with a nervous stammer of, "Congratulations, your eternal grace. You're pregnant," that Leo nearly fainted. Emotional chaos. Leo stormed into Aurelius's office like a hurricane, slamming the door so hard the gold-inlaid panels cracked. "You," Leo growled, pointing an accusing finger at the king lounging behind a mahogany desk, "you got me pregnant." Aurelius blinked once, twice. Then, his lips curled into the smuggest, most lovesick smile Leo had ever seen. "I knew it," Aurelius breathed, standing and crossing the room with supernatural speed. "I felt it the moment it happened. Our bond. It created life." He cupped Leo's face reverently, crimson eyes glowing with an emotion so raw it almost hurt. "My mate is carrying our heir," Leo shoved him back. "Your what?" "Our child," Aurelius corrected smoothly, gaze dropping to Leo's still flat stomach like it was already crowned. "The future ruler of both humans and vampires. The strongest heir in history." Leo's heart pounded. "You mean the thing that got me murdered in my last life?" Aurelius froze. The memories slammed into Leo like a tidal wave. Mark, his past self, laughing fearlessly at Aurelius's throne. A secret mating under the same blood moon centuries ago. Whispers among the vampire lords. If they ever conceive, their child will unite all clans, destroy the old order. An ambush, blood everywhere, hunters and traitorous vampires slaughtering Mark to end the prophecy. Aurelius screaming in agony, cradling his dead mate, swearing vengeance on everyone who touched him. Leo collapsed into Aurelius's arms, shaking, breath ragged. They killed me. Because of this. Because of us. Aurelius held him tight, his cool hands trembling. I failed you once. I'll never let them touch you again. Not you. Not our child. Leo buried his face in Aurelius's chest, voice muffled, but laced with his usual sarcasm. You're still a lunatic, you know that? Aurelius chuckled softly, kissing the top of his head. A lunatic who finally has his family. Call me whatever you want, Leo. As long as you never leave me again. Leo groaned, rolling his eyes even as tears burned them. Pregnant, eternally bonded, married to the richest psycho in existence. Fantastic life choices, Vale. Aurelius only smiled, holding his furious, sarcastic pregnant mate like he'd finally won the only war that mattered. Chapter 5. Eternal Devotion. Leo Vale had been many things in his life. Alpha hunter, billionaire CEO, eternal mate to a deranged vampire king, but nothing prepared him for being the most hunted pregnant man in history. The news leaked like wildfire. Alpha hunter, carrying vampire king's child. Prophecy of the strongest heir reignites ancient feuds. The vampire councils called it a disaster. The Hunters Guild branded Leo a traitor. Rival vampire lords saw an opportunity to end Aurelius's reign by slaughtering his mate before the hybrid heir was born. Leo, meanwhile, was just trying to eat his damn pickle and blood sausage sandwich in peace. Overprotective vampire mode. Aurelius was already a nightmare in love. As an expectant father, he was worse. Every room Leo entered had 6 guards and 2 enchanted barriers. The penthouse was lined with holy wardings and blood seals. Aurelius personally tasted Leo's meals while glaring at chefs like they were assassins in disguise. One morning, Leo stormed into Aurelius's war room, tossing a file onto the strategy table with a loud thwack. Do you realize there's a sniper outside our window? Aurelius didn't look up from sharpening a silver-edged sword. There were 3. I killed 2. Leo blinked. You what? They looked at you wrong. Aurelius glanced up, crimson eyes glowing with a mix of obsession and madness. Darling, you're 8 months pregnant with my heir. The world should be grateful I haven't leveled cities yet. Leo pinched the bridge of his nose. You're a tyrant. Aurelius smiled softly, stepping close to cup his mate's face, thumb brushing Leo's cheek. I'm your tyrant. Leo swatted his hand away, cheeks flushed. Keep talking like that and I might actually swoon. Promise? Aurelius purred. Assassination attempt. It was supposed to be a quiet board meeting. Instead, half the vampire council burst into Leo's office with enchanted crossbows and silver stakes. Leo, heavily pregnant but still alpha as hell, grabbed the nearest paperweight and hurled it at the first attacker's head. I swear, can't I have one meeting without a murder attempt? Before anyone could blink, Aurelius tore through the room like a nightmare in Armani, fangs bared, slaughtering enemies with terrifying precision. Blood sprayed across marble walls as rival lords screamed. One council elder tried to flee. Aurelius grabbed him by the throat, voice a deadly snarl. Touch my mate again, and I'll turn your entire bloodline into dust. Leo stood there, panting, one hand on his swollen stomach, muttering sarcastically, Love how subtle you are, honey. Aurelius glanced over his shoulder, drenched in crimson, and winked. Anything for you, my heart. The Hunters Guild finally attacked in full force during a rare moonless night. Explosions rocked the Draven Tower, vampires and hunters clashing in bloody chaos. Leo insisted on standing beside Aurelius despite being 9 months pregnant. I'm not sitting in a safe room while you play action hero, he yelled, swinging a silver sword at an incoming hunter. Aurelius growled, ripping through 3 enemies with supernatural speed. You're carrying our daughter. I should chain you to the throne for safety. Leo stabbed another hunter, glaring. Try it, and I'll chain you. Between sarcastic shouting and shared fury, they fought like the bonded soulmates they were, unstoppable, devastatingly in sync. When the battle ended, the floor was littered with unconscious hunters and ash from fallen vampires. Aurelius pulled Leo close, trembling, holding his mate's bloodied but strong hands. I almost lost you again, Aurelius whispered, voice breaking. Leo met his crimson gaze, chest tight with long-buried emotion. You won't. Not this time. And for the first time in this lifetime, Leo kissed Aurelius not out of forced bond or rage, but because he remembered everything. The love, the loss, the promise. The birth of the heir. Weeks later, under a calm, starry night, Leo gave birth in the royal chamber of Draven Tower. The labor was long, filled with sarcastic yelling. You did this to me, you overgrown bat. Push, my love. Don't my love me right now. But when it was over, Aurelius held their newborn daughter in trembling hands. She had Leo's fierce golden eyes and Aurelius's soft dark curls. She's perfect, Aurelius whispered, voice cracking as tears glimmered. Leo, exhausted but smiling faintly, looked at their child. What do we name her? Aurelius kissed Leo's forehead, whispering the name they'd chosen centuries ago but never got to use. Selene Vale Draven, the moon's blessing, the heir who will unite our worlds. Leo smirked tiredly. Let's just hope she doesn't inherit your crazy. Aurelius chuckled, cradling both his mate and daughter close, finally at peace after 500 years of obsession and war. No matter what she inherits, Aurelius murmured, kissing Leo softly, she'll always know this. We are eternal. And for once, Leo didn't argue.